Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is just a follow-up for the communication of nature, and I've made some kind of arguments that I've created here, and I'm going to present it to you guys. So let me just present it first, and then we'll talk about it. So the question is this: if we believe in this communication of nature stuff, now can the divine person, communicate some of its nature to the person? Can it communicate some of its nature to the person? Then if you say yes, then what is the heresy of Eutychianism? Okay? And if you say yes also, then what is the point of the incarnation? If the Father can just communicate the divine nature of something to anybody, to any person, can just communicate it with them like he did with the messengers and allow them to do divine stuff. So what is the point of incarnation? Then if you say no, the divine person cannot communicate his nature to the person, to the human nature, then what was going on when Jesus was saying those statements that all those I am statements in John that you guys always quote that this is God, okay? Or when he say I forgive you, okay? If he cannot communicate his nature, if the divine person cannot communicate his nature to the human person, how can Jesus, the man that is not divine, how can he say I forgive you? And if you think I forgive you means he's the God, or many other things. Let's say he gave life to the dead. Okay, when he was giving life to the dead, who was giving life to the dead? Is it the human or the divine? Okay, if you say it's the human, how? The human is not divine. So if you say it's the divine is communicating some of his nature to the human to do that. Okay, so what is the point? Then about other prophets. So this argument is actually much more stronger than I thought, actually. Interesting. This argument is strong, man. I'm telling you guys, see, these are not joke arguments, okay? I'm giving you quality arguments. Okay, guys, let's be serious. So the point is this. You have remember the apostatic union. I told you this incarnation is the messiest one. Not to be insultive, I'm sorry if I said that. I don't mean it in an insultive way. I'm just saying it's the most complicated thing. It's even more complicated than the Trinity, okay? Because this is where it's in speculation of the highest order goes on, okay? So now, you have the hypostatic union. What is the hypostatic union? Remember, you have the divine person and the divine nature there, united with a human nature that is not a person, a human nature that is not a person, okay? Now, when the man, let's say the man Jesus now, you are in Jerusalem and you see him and he's raising the dead he's raising the dead. Who is raising the dead? Okay? If you say it's the human nature doesn't have that power to raise the dead. It's not part of our natural ability to raise the dead. It's only God that can raise the dead. Okay? And this is the argument Christians use that see, Jesus raised the dead, so is God. Okay? Jesus forgave somebody, so is God. Or what else did he do? He walked on water, as if, I'll give you another argument about that. So they will cite all these things as see, only God can do this, therefore Jesus is God. Now, the point is, the human nature cannot do these things. It's not in his nature. So somebody is doing it through this human nature. Who is that? Is it the divine person in Jesus? That divine person, okay, the Son in Jesus, that is united in that apostatic union. Is it the one doing it? If it's the one doing it, is it communicating some of his own nature, like the power to raise the dead? Is he communicating it to the human nature? If you say yes, that's what's going on. And that's what you have to say. Okay? Then the point is Eutychianism. Eutychianism is supposed to be that they can never mix. The divine and the human can never mix together. Okay? Maybe they might say that they mean like mix in the real sense. But to me, any communication going on there is a mixture. Okay? If anybody is communicating any nature anywhere, it's mixture. And I know they want to say that the human nature cannot communicate anything to the divine nature. They want to say that only the divine can do it. Still, there will be a problem for you. Okay? Now, if you say yes, that it's possible for the divine nature to communicate his nature to the human nature, such that the human is now raising the dead, doing all those things that look godly. Okay? So now, then what is the point of incarnation? Incarnation becomes useless. Why? Because the Father can just communicate his nature to the man directly without sending any logos anywhere. Okay? He can just communicate it to a normal man, anybody. So, for example, now, if you have messengers, the prophets, before, like Moses, when he took his staff and he put it in the sea, and the sea parted, who was parting that sea? Is it Moses? Of course it's not Moses. It's God that was parting that sea through Moses. So God can do something through a particular person, especially the messengers. He can do miracles through them. And guess what Jesus was saying? He said that all these things I'm doing is to the glory of the Father. It's the Father that is doing it through me. Okay? So if the Father can do that directly, the Father in the Old Testament is doing all these miracles, letting prophets. Did the Father incarnate in Moses? Of course not. The Father didn't incarnate in Moses. If the Father didn't incarnate in Moses, and Moses could do divine stuff, quote unquote divine stuff, because you guys think any miracle is divine, in the sense that whoever is doing that miracle has to be the God. So Moses can be God. Moses has to be God because he did miraculous stuff. So guys, you can see that the Father could do miraculous stuff through messengers without being incarnate to them. So now, what is the point of the incarnation then? If the same thing is what's going on here, that is still the human nature and the divine nature is just communicating some of the stuff, then the incarnation becomes useless and waste of time, waste of resources, of divine proportions. At the end of the day, guys, see, it doesn't work. This is what I'm telling you. This communication of idiom thing, it creates more problem than it solves. And if you think that, see, this argument I'm presenting, a lot of Christians have problem with this, and they cannot answer it. I'm talking about the scholars. They don't know how they can answer this, and some of them are taking radical positions. Let me give you an example, like Dr. William Lane Craig. Now he's taking the view that you see that human nature doesn't have a soul. It totally rejected the view of the church, the Chalcedonian Creed. He rejected that of 451. He rejected that, and he said, see, that human nature doesn't have a human soul, and it's just the divine person that's inside that human body. He has agreed to this because him is trying to say, see, all this thing, communication of idiomatum, is just nonsense. He's saying there's only one person there, and there's no human person there in the picture at all, and he's a heretic. If he said this in the time of the church, the Catholic Church, they will kick this man out or kill him or something. I'm not joking. It's a heresy. So the point is this, guys. All this speculation about God, what can God do and not, and at the end of the day, God cannot still die. At the end of the day, all of this communication, God cannot still die. Nobody died. So why do we need to go through all of this just to arrive at the same conclusion that the Muslims are telling you that, see, God did not die, Jesus did not die. Because God did not die, Jesus did not die. Because even in this picture, the funny thing is, if you are saying it's the human body that died, the human body is not a person. If the human body is not a person, you cannot even give it a name. We Muslims are telling you he didn't die. God took him to himself. And you are also saying he didn't die. He didn't die too. So at the end of the day, guys, see, there's no way they can get around this. These arguments I'm giving you, learn them, study them, and let us present it to our brothers and sisters so that we remove the veil from their eyes so that they'll be able to see that, see, I know they're emotional. See, if it's about emotions, they win. 100%, any day, Christians, they will win. With emotions, no way. You cannot joke with them with emotions. With prayer, they can pray and stuff like this. But what is building your house on a weak foundation, on a foundation that's full of speculation and just human wishy-washy? How will I say this? They're just making things up. When it gets worse, they will make a council. Say, you cannot say this, you cannot say that. Then they will make another one. They went so far. And if you're a Protestant, just think about this. If you're a Protestant, the Protestants, they reject so many things that the councils have said. The council said Mary is the mother of God. The council said you can have icons and idols in your churches. That's why the Catholics, they do, and the Orthodox Church, they do. They have all these idols and images. But you guys have rejected that. Reformation, Luther, and all these Calvin people, they rejected all of that. But they stopped. They rejected some of it and then they stopped at the point. They didn't ask, like, the argument from the Catholic position is that, see, if all this while we are the one that gave you the Trinity, we gave you the Incarnation law, we gave you all this law, now you're telling us we cannot give you any more law? No. This is why the Catholics and the Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, they're like, what is wrong with these Protestants? They don't know what they're doing. So the point is this, guys. Let's return back to the way of God. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what was going on. Allah sent another messenger. Is it not what it is that God should send another messenger? With all this speculation going on, leading people away from God, God had to send another messenger to bring his people back to the worship of the one creator, the God of Abraham, the God of Moses, God of Jesus, the one God Jesus called my God. You see, I'm going to my God. That one God. Worship that one God. And there cannot be any other person apart from this one God. He is one, not two. He doesn't become a man. He doesn't become his creation. It's transcendent. Absolute power and majesty. Ya Hazal Jalal wal Ikram. Subhanallah amma yushrikun. So with this, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.